the UNIMAP Edu Solutions Private Limited cordially welcomes you to unlock your educational dreams.
Hi friends, myself Ahmad Sharif. This video is brought to you by UNIMAP Edu Solutions Private Limited, Head Office Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, Branch Office Telangana, Hyderabad. Today I am with our guest who has completed his Doctor of Philosophy in Germany, and today we would explore more about PhD in Germany, and I would like to introduce him. Hi.
Hi.
And it would be so kind, can you introduce yourself please?
Hi, I am Mahesh Ambani. I did my Masters in Hydrology from Andhra University, and I recently completed my PhD from Technical University of Dresden in Germany.
So, PhD, it's not so easy to complete, getting a doctorate. I can call you now officially Dr. Mahesh, right? So, can I know, how the journey started towards Germany?
Before coming to Germany, I have more than 7 years of research experience.
Okay.
So based on that, I applied for several universities for PhD.
Okay.
And I choose this university, and the PhD program I'm into is prestigious PhD program. So that's why I choose this one.
Okay.
To do PhD.
So can I know how the application process for PhD towards Germany? Because you have to approach the professors and you have to apply. So how is this process? Can you explain in detail and can you explain your experience?
Yeah. There are two types of PhD in Germany. One is a structural PhD program, and the other one is regular PhD program.
Okay.
The structural PhD program is there are 3 or 4 years structural PhD program.
Okay.
So they are advertised by university and institute.
Okay.
So then they advertise 12 PhD positions or things.
Okay.
So then you need to apply for it to the university application and everything.
Okay.
So then you get into it. And the other one is the regular PhD programs. That's also 2 types.
Okay.
One is if you apply for the project position, which are advertised also.
Okay.
And then that's another option. And the other one is you have to contact the professor.
Okay.
And write a proposal to the funding body, and together you will get recruited once your funding get approved from a funding body.
Okay. So can you explain about the procedure of funding body and the details? Because PhD depends upon years and fund, it is proportionate.
Yeah.
So how can you know that how many years you are funded, and if in this case when a PhD gets over or not completing in the period of the planned time, what is the procedure or how will be the consequences?
In general, for applying for funding body, you need to have an admission letter or approval letter from the professor.
Okay.
So that means you need to have initial contact with the professor.
Okay.
And then once you have that, with the professor, you have developed a project proposal.
Okay.
Of your PhD. Then you apply to the funding body. Once the funding body approves the project, you will get funded for 3 years in general.
Okay.
So after these 3 years, if your PhD is not finished, it's a common practice that you will get extended for 1 year.
Okay.
But not more than that.
Okay. So after that, it should be self-funded or
in general, it is very common practice. You should finish your PhD within 4 years.
Okay.
And if not, it's self-funded. Even the grants are tough to get once you cross the 4 years margin.
Okay. So what is the there are various pay scale measures, right? How the European standards are given,
Yeah.
So can you explain that in detail, EVL? Some I am not aware of it. You can explain it in detail.
Yeah. I mean, if you recruited through funding, so then you don't recruit as a project position and all.
Okay.
But in the research, there are pay scales. If you recruit the project position, the project will fund you. So that will be TVL E13, E14. Those are the pay scales. In normal, for a PhD position, it's common practice. They'll get the TVL E13 60%.
Okay.
So that means 50, 60, 75. So they start minimum 50%,
Okay.
maximum 75%.
Okay.
So if the minimum 50% means you get around 1600 euro.
Okay.
And 75% means you get around 1800 to 1900 euro.
So this is after taxes?
After taxes and everything.
Okay. So this varies from city to city or location, or how, like it's a standard medium like for everyone.
It varies actually. In the state of Saxony, you will get 100 or 50 euro less.
Okay.
And if you go to other parts, you'll get this 50 or 100 euro more maybe.
Okay.
So it's not much variation. It's only like 50
Okay.
some euro difference.
So can we go in detail about how the application procedure is still more, because after completing of the masters, directly coming towards PhD is the best option, or having a work experience is best option, like in your own view?
Yeah, in my own view, after before PhD, having experience is good. Because without the experience or any research or the industry experience, it's really tough to do PhD.
Okay.
For you, actually, I've seen several master students.
Okay.
After the masters, they immediately go into the PhD position. They will not be able to finish the PhD within 3 years or 4 years. They'll take more than 4 years.
Okay.
Some are even across 5 years. Yeah.
It depends from person
to person.
Yeah.
But if some master students, they did it within 4 years and within 3 years also, some of them, they're like highly talented.
So how can having an experiences can help you for completing your PhD on time?
If you have experience, research experience, that would be really helpful, because you know where to start, and you know the research process and everything, how the publication process works.
Okay.
Everything, you know it. If you don't start, don't know anything about the research experience, what happens in the research field, immediately after masters, if you start it, that will be tough.
Okay, like
getting to know things also will take a lot of time for you.
So having a clear overview what you are going to do in your PhD with a structured format, like it's more about self-awareness.
Yeah.
And having papers in your masters, like how can it help in getting your PhD?
I mean, at the master's level, if you have a paper, that would be really good.
Yeah.
In general, at the master's level, getting a research paper is not that easy.
Okay.
But if you have a research paper, that would be really helpful to get into PhD. But it should not be so high level impacted paper which is expected from a master's student. That's really common.
Okay.
If you have a normal paper, is fine.
Okay.
I mean, normal paper means not like there are fake journals.
Yeah.
You should be very careful where you publishing.
Okay.
If you publish this one of the fake journal or predatory journals, you lost your chance to do PhD in Germany. They really care about this.
Okay. So usually how the professors reply or respond to the PhD industry students who apply to them, because they receive hundreds of mail every day, right? So how can it help for acquiring a PhD under the professor? Like what is the basic step or necessary precautions they have to take for applying to any professor?
So if you approaching any professor, that's through contacts only. If you know a professor from your professor within your university, if he knows a professor, he contacts him. So that's the good way. If you write directly to the professor asking for, I want to do PhD under you, and please help me so I can do PhD under you, so they never gonna reply.
Okay.
Because in Germany, professors are very, very busy.
Okay.
They are like have to maintain an institute and funding and everything.
Okay.
So they get hundreds of emails every day. So replying to any one of them is like really difficult for them.
Okay. So they should have a proper channel and network. And it can be through reference or like through attending conference, or it can be in either the way. So how does attending conferences help in your PhD or in your masters? Like generally people think like, okay, why I need to attend a conference? Like, but of course you get a technical knowledge. Apart from that, how it helps you in your career?
If you are a master's student, if you just finished a master's, if you are going to a research conference, then that would be really helpful if you want to do PhD, because further you get to know what's the research going on, and you get to meet the people which are the high level professors, are the research students which are working already towards their PhD or postdoc. So they can help you if you really talk with them and discuss with them about the research. I'm really interested in this type of topic. If you find a topic which the same person which is doing at the same topic level, that would be syncing the topics together. It will be really good for you.
So to get updated yourself and to know what is happening, like it improves the knowledge and what particularly the professors who attended there like are working on, like to avail yourself.
Yeah.
So it builds your network, or
In generally, it builds your network, but networking is very important thing in the research
okay,
because with the networking only you get the research contacts.
okay,
So with this research contacts only the funding or anything happens.
okay.
So research contacts is very important.
So I have seen in your resume that you have various professional memberships.
Yeah.
Like having professional membership, how does it help for anyone? Like,
So again, the professional membership, which explains the status of a scientific discipline. Suppose if you're registered for a professional membership and one scientific body, so that clearly tells what's the scientific status of this topic and what's happening,
okay,
and they link up with the contacts in that group
okay,
or the research field around the world.
okay,
So then you get access to these contacts and you can write to them and ask them. If the professional body helps you, you might get a chance to contacts. So as a student, getting this professional membership is really important because, and also most of these memberships are free for students.
okay.
Yeah.
And you have reviewed many articles.
Yeah.
And you personally have published more than 17 papers, I think so.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that, and what is the benefit of reviewing the articles? And who is given the opportunity to review also?
Yeah. In general, reviewing is a good experience.
Okay.
Because with the reviewing you get to know more research experience also with the papers you're reviewing.
Okay.
And for the who get to be selected to review
Okay.
is depending on the editor of a journal.
Okay.
And the editor of a journal is generally search for the latest research papers
Okay.
and who published where. So once you publish somewhere, and if it's the paper is a good paper and you have good experience,
Okay.
the editor chooses you and the email you put in your paper, and he sends you the paper to review it.
Okay.
So, dear Mister, could you please review this paper as your expertise suits
Okay.
this topic?
So review will not be paid, right?
Review will not be paid. It's a volunteer experience.
Okay. I think you did more than 100 articles reviewing. Like what would be your word on reviewing? Like if anyone want to do, like how it helps in their career?
If you review, then that will be really useful for your career only because, so with the review you get to update what's the research going on.
Okay.
And the other thing, you also get to, your publications also get polished.
Okay.
And with the more experience you will write more high-five papers compared to your quality before reviewing and after reviewing. It will get
Papers.
definitely improved.
Okay. More details on PhD will be discussed in the next session. Thank you.
You can register with us through our portal. So join us and be at the pinnacle of education through the best service provider. We keep your data protected, and we are determined to connect the world to Germany with our amicable assistance. For further details, visit us at www.unimap.in.